Hey y'all, hope you're doing well today. So in today's message, we're going to be discussing deer. I was inspired by the folklore, the fairy tale story of Santa and the 8 reindeer, right? And so, of course, the reindeer are a type of deer specifically from the Arctic. So I hope you enjoy the message today. And if you have this book, which we use a lot on my channel, you can open it up to or flag the pages 284 through 287. So in just a little bit, we're going to be reading from there. So it's really interesting because when I was looking into the origin of the story, why reindeer? What's the relevance there with regards to, Santa, which is traced back to St. Nicholas, right? What I found, and this is from Wikipedia, is that the first documentation of the specifically eight reindeer, is from the 1823 poem by Clement C. Moore called A Visit from St. Nicholas. Right. And so, and I think it eventually morphed into 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, but maybe that was the original title. But, deer are beautiful anyways, right? And I thought, what a great opportunity to be inspired by the holidays and just take a look into the archetypal power of deer, right? There's a lot of cultures that have, looked at animals with regards to, a spiritual depth, a meaning, right? Something that we can relate to in that manner. And so just keep that in the back of your mind as we're going through the discussion today, is that we are looking at deer through the lens of spirituality, being inspired to see, what we can learn in an archetypal sense, about ourselves, about reality, about humanity, about God. And so I just hope that you really enjoy the message. So, I didn't find a whole lot about reindeer so much as just deer. So a lot of what we're talking about is going to be in relation to deer. And I've been really, the more I just dug into this, it was just incredibly interesting to discover so much. It was like layers of meaning. And isn't that fun when you're on that kind of, truth-seeking journey, when you're just, you're asking, you're like in this, you're approaching your research from the perspective of humility, in that you're sort of asking, the higher power to lead you, to guide you, to reveal something to you, through your efforts. And I just love that process of discovery. It's so much fun, and I hope that you do too. Deer. I looked up the etymology of that word, and of course I'll drop the link to the website I use in the description. But the first thing that it said was that it's related to animals, right? Specifically just animal. And I thought that was interesting. Furthermore, wild animal, and I love the concept of wild through the lens of spirituality, because again, the book Women Who Run with the Wolves discusses the power of, the archetypal feeling of being wild in that manner. In other words, still connected to the numinosity of reality, not domesticated to the point of losing that connection with the divine. And so I love that definition of wild, right? And it's definitely relevant, we're going to see here, with regards to deer. But it said wild animal, beast, any wild quadruped, I guess. And then it says in early Middle English, also used of ants and fish. And I thought, wow, that's pretty incredible, the term deer. And then it says from Proto-Germanic Deuzim, Deuz, I don't know if this is a ZAM, I guess. And so that just means animal, right? And then the Gothic word, Deus, Dius, meaning wild animal. And I love how it's the DI, just reminds me of, divinity, right? The divine, like what we were just talking about. Then you have the Proto-Indo-European word, Dusum, Dheussom, meaning creature that breathes. Creature that breathes. And we know that the breath is closely related to God, as God breathed life into us, right? So very relevant here. And then you have the root word from that word I just shared with you all, Dusum, which is Dheu, meaning not just breath, but cloud. And so how beautiful is that? It's almost like the different layers, of all that breath is. Since it comes from the divine, it is powerful in that manner. On the micro, meaning the breath within a human being, and on the macro, when it references cloud, meaning the wind, the greater breath, of the universe, of our earth, our atmosphere, the universe itself. And so it's just beautiful, right? And so I even found out, I think I mentioned it to you all in my research over the last few months, that apparently the earth breathes. And, specifically it's been detected in the cave systems. That I can't remember, I don't want to quote wrong, but it's something like for a period of time, like 6 months out of the year, the wind, the draft is going into the cave, and then the other 6 months it's going out, and it's been observed. So if we just slow down and we be still, right, then we truly can know, I believe, not just intellectually, but intimately, God better, which is why I think we are encouraged to, just slow down and get quiet and to be still, right? There's a lot, that one directive in the Bible, there's so much to it. And I just want to say, if you're new to my channel, I just invite you to view everything that I share with you all through your own perspective, your own lens. And I hope that, even referencing the Christian Bible and those kind of concepts, or anything that I share, sometimes I share all kind of different philosophies, Buddhism and all kind of things. So I just hope that it's helpful to you, because it's always my goal to get the wheels turning. That's what I always say on my channel, get the wheels turning for you, so that you're inspired and you're encouraged, and you want to take what you get from my channel and run with it and do further research for yourself. So I just want to put that out there. Sometimes I like to reiterate that in case I have new viewers. So, and I thank you for being here. All right, yes. So all this is related if you think about it. Deer meaning animal, specifically wild animal, and then it goes into, the different words, Deus and Dusum and dew, meaning cloud and breath. So we have this relation between the wind, between the breath, and animals. And remember that within the word animal is the word anima, which means life, like this life force energy. See, it's what moves us, you might say. And so just a beautiful little family of words and meanings there, you might say. So yes, and it's true. It's certainly a technique that we can, just remind ourselves to take advantage of, breathing techniques, because it will calm you down. We're going to be talking about how deer, specifically what I'm going to share with you from the book, how they just have this beautiful calming presence, and they're beneficial to our spirit, our soul, in that manner, to help just calm us down with their graceful beauty. And yet they can also be very powerful. So it's just that, again, that divine paradox captured in this one beautiful animal. So, but yes, there's definitely something very numinous about them. It's like, their presence alone just gives us this amplified feeling of being alive. And, so that in itself is kind of a clue as to why reindeer are very symbolic, in the holiday season. Because if you notice, the holidays, just the spirit of the season, it kind of brings people, it snaps people out of their days sometimes. They're very alert. Everybody just becomes a little bit more conscious. Sometimes it's in a good way. Sometimes it's, wanting to, you know, donate more when in reality, people need donations all throughout the whole year. You know what I mean? But it's like everybody just feels more inspired to do so at the holidays. And there's just a little bit more kindness, strangers, speaking a word of kindness to one another when you're out and about. And then on the flip side, again, there's this amplified energy at the holidays. The flip side is that, people are just very sensitive because, and it's true, there's more traffic on the roads and everything, but people can very easily be triggered too during this time. So there's this amplification of this life force energy, and it can be routed, I feel like either consciously or and subconsciously, to the good side or to the bad side, right? And so deer kind of have that same powerful force, they have the antlers, they can charge at you and be a force of destruction, or they can be a force of inspiration with their grace, and how delicate they seem at times. So just a really complex archetypal symbol, really, if you take the time to think about it. And, we can learn a lot about ourselves and the human psyche too, by examining it, right? So, the last thing I want to share with regards to breaking down the etymology on that word, I want to turn it to not just deer, but reindeer. So you have DYR. This is an Old Norse word, which is relevant because it's, if you think about the Vikings and the origins of that culture and everything, it's very much related to the Arctic, right? And the place related to reindeer, the origin of reindeer. But DYR means animal, and then you have renin. So it's like reindeer, but again backwards. You have renin, which means to run, right? So if I had to sum up what all of the etymology that I've found on this animal, what this really kind of just screams to me in one word, if I had to sum it up, I would say life, and furthermore, life force energy, So, and I think it's important to note their relation to having a steward, or a shepherd, an owner, which is Santa, right? Or Saint Nicholas. And I thought this was extremely interesting. I just want to touch on this here, that Saint Nicholas, if you look up the word, the name Nicholas, it's from the Greek Nikolaos, Nikolaos, which literally means victory people. How cool is that? I was like, man, I'm just loving. See, research is just as I tell you, it's a great hobby. It's wonderful. It's healing. It's enlightening. It can connect us. And so yes. And then the reference was made to Nike, which means victory. So and then Old Nick, apparently, I didn't know this, but it said it was just kind of a phrase that she used, which, sometimes a word can mean something good, or a phrase can mean something good, and sometimes it can be, kind of on the negative side, right? Which you've heard of Krampus, which is the evil archetype of the Santa character, and that's something that I would like to look further into, if hopefully I'll be able to put together a presentation on Santa, and we'll expand on that concept there. But apparently the saying Old Nick means the devil, or at some point, in some culture and history, it meant like the devil. And I thought, man, that's not cool, because, even in our songs today with our kids, it's like Old Saint Nick, and I know that we're not intending to sing about the devil, so I thought that was crazy. I just had to share it with you all. yeah, there's all kind of different alternative Santa stories, right? And again, even Krampus has that same origin as the reindeer, the European Arctic. So again, let's just sum up before we dive into the book we're about to dive in. But so far, deer can symbolize the wild, the breath, running, or the life force, and victory. So let's turn to page 284 if you have the book, and I'm just going to be reading a little bit here with you all. This section, this is all about deer under the header of wild animals. And this section opens with a little excerpt from the book called a book called The Book of Hours. And this is by Rilke, Rilke. And I looked this up, and it's actually from I believe, the late 1800s. And I'd like to get the book. It sounds pretty cool. But it's poetry to God, or love poems to God, or something like that. And I thought that would be really interesting to read. But let me just share this with you. It says, "You run like a herd of luminous deer, and I am dark. I am forest. You are a wheel at which I stand, whose dark spokes sometimes catch me up, revolve me nearer to the center." And so I looked up the term revolve, and it was totally relevant here, meaning like deep contemplation, you know. And so as we read about deer, we'll see how they offer, or they invite us into that space of deep contemplation. So I hope you enjoy it. It says, "Hovering in the full moon's luminous path between above and below, stepping lightly forward between here and not here, while gazing back over its shoulder, the shimmering white deer bridges the earthly and spiritual realms, embodying and leading us into the symbolic, intermediate realm of the soul. With its velvet coat, soft, moist muzzle, brown eyes glistening beneath long lashes, and slender, delicate limbs, it seems the deer's very nature to symbolize purity and sublimity. A pair of deer is often depicted flanking the throne of the Buddha, who is said to have incarnated in a previous life as a honey-voiced golden stag, whose mission it was to calm the passions of humans lost in despair and lead them to the eightfold path." I want to pause here and expand on this because this is an opportunity for us to really pull something rich from this. It says, it's talking about, yes, it's talking about the pair of deer often depicted flanking the throne of Buddha. It says that Buddha was said to have incarnated in a previous life as a honey-voiced golden stag, whose mission it was, this is the part, if you're taking notes, you want to write this down, to calm the passions of humans lost in despair. Okay, so to calm the passions of humans lost in despair. When I first read that, I thought, despair to me is when I visualize, being in despair, or anytime I felt, being hopeless, or, at the brink of despair or whatever. It's certainly not, in my mind at least, associated with a feeling of passion, because passion to me is like an abundance of this, flowing, healthy, like flow of life force energy. And despair feels kind of like a blockage. Despair feels kind of like, when that light inside of you has just kind of dwindled down to a little flicker. It's kind of like the opposite of passion. So I thought, that's interesting to associate passion with despair, right? Again, the mission was to calm the passions of humans lost in despair. So let's take a look at this. So looking at the etymology of the word despair, it means a loss of hope. We have de, meaning away, down from, or off. We have pair, meaning a set of two. Your equal or your counterpart. So, when we are in despair, we are feeling the pain of being separated from the other part of us, right? What is that other part of us? Sometimes we confuse this with another human being, you know. In actuality, I believe this is talking about more like the story I've shared with you all, the droplet in the sea. Okay, like that analogy. In other words, it's like the divine spark inside of us longing to be merged with the greater fire of God, right? And so when it relates pair to your equal and your counterpart, it's like this makes complete sense that there is a part of God within us, right? Through the Christian lens, it would be the Holy Spirit, you know? And we're told not to get lost in these meaningless, vain rituals where we just, go and sit through a sermon and just take notes, and we just, we're very rigid, and there's no depth or substance to our religious or spiritual practice. It's not about that. It's about connection, see? And so I thought, okay, this is really interesting. Now let's take a look at passion to complete, the lesson from this little excerpt we're pulling here. So remember, it says calm the passions. This word passion, I found out, was not actually associated with what I feel like it means, at least through my lens today, again, where it's kind of like this grand excitement, or an amplified interest, right? That it didn't, this word passion wasn't associated with that until the late 14th century, because before that, right, to look at the oldest recorded meaning of things, it's just where I find a lot of light bulb moments. I find a lot of puzzle pieces when I do that. And so the etymology of the word passion, circa the 12th century, means the sufferings of Christ on the cross, the death of Christ, and specifically Christ's passion and physical suffering, okay? So the Latin root word here, pati, means to endure, to undergo, or experience. So it says in the website, the notion is that which must be endured. And it goes on, furthermore, to relate it to the sufferings of martyrs. So just really interesting, right? To frame passion in that manner. So now this makes sense, doesn't it, right? To calm the passions or the sufferings, right, of humans lost in despair. So it just really resonated with me, the state. Let me share this with you. It furthermore said, with regards to passion, it's the state of being affected or acted upon specifically by something external. Okay, and that resonated with me. The deer are stated to calm the passions of humans in despair. So the passion, the suffering is kind of being framed here, if we, in our examination, as being caused by something external. Okay. I want to share something with you. It's kind of like going through the things I have. I had to come to the realization that, when you are a responsible person, you try to internalize a lot so that you can remain empowered and do something about things that aren't going right in your life. And I'm not saying that's not the right approach to life. I think that we want to do that as much as possible because there is a lot within our control. But there was this major shift that happened for me, okay? It was a shift in perspective in my journey. And And that is, we are persuaded from so many different sources, okay? Our society, just within a relationship, specifically when it's a controlling person, someone who's psychologically abusive, someone who will not take responsibility. We are persuaded from so many angles to believe that anything and everything truly affecting us is all in here. It's all on us, okay? And it's kind of like when you, on one hand, to believe that it's truly all within your own mind, it's like I said, sort of a relief, because again, you feel empowered. But the problem with that is that in itself is exploited. And I'll just leave you with that. I won't expand on it. I'll let you think about that. How when we believe that things are, our fault and also within our power because it's all within our own mind, just think about how that's exploited out here, okay? But on the other hand, it serves to blind us, to be made to believe that it's all within, in your own head, in your own misperceptions. Well, there's a motive. There's a motive for people to want us to believe it's all in here, that our sufferings, it's all self-induced, because it keeps us blind from what they're doing. It keeps us blind, again, from the external influence, right? From the wolves in sheep's clothing, right? That are actually to blame. So sometimes the blame is external, and we finally wake up to that fact, don't we? And we realize it's truly not all projection. And furthermore, sometimes I believe it takes help from the external too. If the cause is out here, sometimes the solution is helped along by the external as well, okay? To help stop what's happening within, the spiritual attacks. It's multi-layered. It's internal and external, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. But let's keep going. So, yes, talking about Buddha incarnated in a previous life as this beautiful golden stag, right? Whose mission it was to calm the passions of humans lost in despair and lead them to the Eightfold Path. Okay, says the deer's graceful caution, elegant leaps, sudden appearances, and swift disappearances link the animal to the alchemical Mercurius, the transformative intermediary soul substance, as well as to pilgrimage or initiation paths that are circuitous, I guess I'm saying that right, indirect and constantly shifting direction, or like the deer disappearing altogether. The occasional mysterious hoof sounds we hear in the brush along the meandering way belong to a hidden creature that teaches us to tread our path with calm reverence for the unseen and unknown. So it's an invitation to acknowledge the numinous. It's an invitation. Deer are our inspiration to slow down, to understand the layers, the complexity of this reality, and the fact that there is a numinous element, right? So then it goes into a section talking about the newborn deer, and talking about the mothers, how they leave them. While the mothers go to graze, and how they're camouflage and they're odorless and motionless. It says hidden by its dappled camouflage in the tall grass. Later, the fawn will follow her out, learning to browse, explore, and hide in plain sight. Unlike other, I hope I'm saying this right, ungulates, like sheep and goats, with their hierarchical and therefore dominable nature, the more solitary, elusive, and territorial deer, unwilling to breed in confined spaces, is not easily domesticated. commanding our awe and respect since ancient times. From the Paleolithic era to the Industrial Age, deer provided humans with a principal source of food, as well as clothing and tools. The prolonged pursuit of this gentle animal awakened the hunter's intuition, not only of the ways of the deer, but of the surrounding forest. Hunting societies from ancient Europe to medieval Japan and native North America acquired such a profound experience of the deer's movements that the belief was born that the creature could travel from one world to the next in a graceful bound. The Celtic lord of forest beasts, Cernunnos, which I thought this was really interesting. It's spelt Cernunnos. So that was a lord of forest beasts. Adorned with leafy antlers, collects the souls of the dying and escorts them to the underworld, accompanied by the hunting goddess Phlidos, who, like her Greek counterpart Artemis, rides in a deer-driven chariot. Yeah, so very much related to to Santa's sleigh, right? Legend tells how pregnant does swam to the island of Artemis, known as Mother Deer, to give birth, while she transformed the hunter Actaeon when he dared spy on her bathing. Again, so many common themes just repeated in different fairy tales and myth, right? Interesting. Into a stag, right? So she transformed that hunter into a stag to be torn apart by his own hounds, linking the deer to the mysterious passages of birth, death, and transfiguration. So you have just another example of the cycle of life, birth, death, and rebirth. And you might say the hero's journey. Indeed, there is an unconscious equivalence between hunter and hunted. And then this is the last part. This was super interesting to me. It says, in a Christian legend, a stag enters a thick forest in order to draw the soldier hunting it away from his comrades, so that the stag can hunt the hunter while he hunts, finally confronting him with a crucifix miraculously sprouting between its antlers. And this is an artwork I'll share with you all. Pretty incredible. It says, thus the hunter and the hunted are secretly identical. The seeker and the spiritual goal, as well as the pathway to it, are one and the same. Wow. How incredible is that, right? So, yes, it's like they have this subtle yet powerful authority, and we can be inspired by that, in our approach to the wolves in sheep's clothing, because there are human predators, as we know. And so, fortunately we know, rather. It's unfortunate that they even exist, is my point. But it's reacting is not a wise approach. Having a wise, subtly authoritative approach is the path, right? So, that's the way to success, right? So, it's smarter the way this was positioned, right? How he was, the deer actually drew the soldier away from his comrades to hunt him while he was hunting the deer. I mean, how smart is that? That's like the art of war right there, and you can maintain your peace in that process because you are one step ahead in that manner, right? So you don't have to relinquish your peace to win that kind of a battle. So this is great inspiration for escaping the traps of evil in this world, right? I feel like. Yes. So, the seeker and the spiritual, right? They're the same. Or the spiritual goal, rather. I said the seeker and the spiritual goal, as well as the pathway to it, are one and the same. I thought that was beautiful. So it's the hero's journey coming home spiritually, finding that numinous part inside of you and then connecting to the greater part of you, understanding that you are a part of it. It's all about that cosmic wedding, isn't it? Coming home in that manner. And I just thought that was really beautiful. It's just the hero's journey, no matter where you look. So, but it's like this illusion of separation. Remember, despair, DE, is to be away from, away from the pair between, to be away from or not joined to the other part of you, which is like, your higher self, or through the spiritual lens, the divine. And so, yes. I love that it's like Santa plus the reindeer may archetypally represent victory in running the race together. It's like one breath. It's like breathing together, running the race together. They're on this mission together, but it's together, So the journey, the experience of learning to synchronize is the victory, right? Being in sync, being in harmony, or you might say being in agreement. So I hope this has been inspiring for you. I hope that you got something from it, something of value. I hope that it got the wheels turning for you. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And I just thank you so much for coming along to hear the message. I hope that you have a beautiful day. And I'll see you again very soon.